In this video, I'm going to show you how to chase and status. You ain't got no backbone. So this is the breakdown of their collab with Stormzy, Backbone, and I've recreated the whole thing on FL Studio. And to do this, we're using a bunch of my sample packs, particularly the Rollers DnB sample pack. There's a link down below if you want to get that. And then samples from Splice, and then samples that I've created from instruments as well. The track is 176 BPM, and we're using the key of D. And I'm going to take you through how I made the drums, how I made the basses. I'll show you the vocals, but I can't play them because of copyright issues. And then I'll show you the instruments and then the effects. Let's start with the drums. So there's three sections to the drums. There's the intro drums, then the breakdown and build-up drums, and then the drop drums. In terms of the drop drums, they're essentially just two bars like this and duplicated here and here. But in the first two bars, we don't have any drums because Stormzy's vocals are carrying the tune for this bit. So instead, we just have his vocal and then a reverse crash here that sounds like this, and then a clap, and then it goes into the drums. What I'll do for you is I'll recreate the first 8 bars of the drums so you can get an understanding of how they work. So for the first 2 bars we have nothing, and then we get this reverse crash here. And how I've made this is I've literally just put a crash in, and then you click this reverse button, and then I can shape it here so it's shorter, and then just drag this across here like this, so it's like this. And then for the clap, we've used 2 layers. So the first layer is Rollers Clap 1 from the Rollers DnB pack. And then we've layered it with another clap that sounds like this, Rollers number 2. We've just pitched it down -600 and changed the out so it's more snappy. And then both these together sound like this. They're there together, layered, and then they're going into the clap group with a Camel Crusher on the Annihilate setting. And then these just repeat. So they just repeat every other bar like this, all the way along until the end. So now let's put in the kick drum. Now I must have been through like 100 different kick drums to find this kick drum. It really took ages to find the perfect one that fit. But I feel this kick drum, don't tell Chase and Status, but it kind of sounds a little bit better than the one they used in the track. It's Jump Up Kick 01 from my Jump Up pack, and it sounds like this. And it's just got some blood overdrive on it, and then we're EQing it here. You can see there's a little bit of EQ on it. And then this is just coming in on the first beat of every bar, and then halfway again across the beat like that. So it's just like this. And then this is just repeated. And if we go on the mix down, you can see that the kick is way louder than the clap. But this Camel Crusher is adding even more sound. So that's why it sounds like a similar level. So you just got to be careful about that. And then this is just copied all the way to the end of this bar here. So we're doing this bit, remember. So now we need to add some hi-hats. So let's start with hi-hat 16, Rollers hi-hat 16. Just sounds like this. And we're just going to put this in the gap at the start of each bar here. And then that's just going to repeat every single bar like this. Now let's grab hi-hat number 4. And this has got a lot of reverb on as well. And this is going to come twice in each bar. And it's going to come just after the clap. So you see the clap here? I'm just going to put it here, like this. So we're finding the gaps in between the kicks and the claps. And just copy this throughout. And there we go. Next, we've got the main hi-hat, which is coming in the main gap. So you know how we moved this kick drum across here? That's opened up this gap here for a hi-hat. And we're going to put one in there every single bar. We're going to use hi-hat 1 for this in the middle of every single bar. Now, it's sounding a little bit jolty at the moment. So what I'm going to do is add this percussion element underneath. That sounds like this. And then just going to plop it down like this. And then filter it off slowly with a volume filter. And then we can change the levels of this as well. Like this. So I'll show you. So we can like turn these down, turn this one even more down. Just like randomly change the volume so it sounds more natural and not so rigid. So let me play it now. And that just helps all the hi-hats now sound more flowing. And we could just copy this across. So there we go. So the only other difference in the next bar here is that we've got some kick drums playing with the vocals. So the vocals are like shouting certain things and then the kick drums playing at the same time of it, and it just sounds like this. And then we have another one here to go with the horn that we'll show you later on. And then this pretty much just repeats with just different changes later on as well. So let me just show you the mix down as well. So here are all the groups. So you see the hi-hats and the claps are both louder than the kick drum, and the kick drum is the driving main sample that's going to be the loudest. So now let's look at the build-up. And first we have the clap, which is exactly the same clap. It's just now playing every single beat, and it's got a filter like this that's slowly being automated along the bottom here. So if you want to automate something, you literally just grab this, control, drag along here, go to the filter, right click, create automation clip. And then you can see it's slowly filtering down then up as the drums come in. And it just sounds like this. And then this whole section is all just repeated. And then we double time it here and then double time it again here to get. And then after the first 8 bars here, we introduce the kick drum. And the kick drum is filtered as well with this band 7 filter. So you can see here. It's just filtering like that. So you just filter it from here. So right click, create automation clip here. And then this is basically copying the clap. And then they all cut out 1 bar before the drop. And we've added this break sound here. So this is from the drum put pack, break 2. And we've just chopped it to get this sound. Thought that sounded pretty cool. And then in the intro, we've got 8 bars of nothing and then 8 bars of a snare, a snap, and that same break sound. This is just a snare playing like this. So I'll put on step mode so you can see the pattern it's doing. This section here is just repeated. And then we've got the snap that comes in from the rollers pack. I love using snaps. It's like when you use your fingers like that, which I can't do, unfortunately. And then that's just repeated. And then we have the breaks filtered as well, as you can see there. So it doesn't sound as aggressive when it comes in pre-drop. You see how we're like adding so much automation to everything to make it sound even more full and like the track's moving. So that is the drums complete. Now let's look at the basses. So we've got 3 main basses here and 1 main sub. So just to go over the drop first, again we'll do 8 bars. So the first 2 bars is nothing because the vocals are carrying the track. And then the second 2 bars, we've got like a womp horn style bass for the first beat. And then it goes into a wobble and then the main bass. And then that repeats itself without the initial horn sound. And then we get some variation to wrap things up. So if you didn't have any vocals, essentially what this would probably look like is we would copy this section here and put the horn like here, and then maybe put the horn like here. And then this would be section A, this would be section B, this would be section A, this would be section C. So essentially what Chase and Status have done with the original A, B, A, C drop making method is removed A, added a vocal in here now, and then moved this to here, and basically just rearranged the formula a little bit just so they could get this vocal in, because this is the main part of the tune. Stormzy is the main part of this tune. It's what's going to carry it so much to get the most streams possible. So now we've gone over the structure, let's see how each sound was made. So the horn style bass is just a sample from Splice that sounds like that, and then I've just chopped it up like this and added these in here to get that so it fits in. So if you want the sample, you can see it there. And then I've added a bunch of post-processing to it to try and get it sound as similar as possible. So without the post-processing, sounds like that. And then we've added an EQ, an OTT, and then another EQ. And then of course we've got our kickstart 2 doing a bit of sidechain as well to the kick. And then we've got our sub bass underneath. I had to go for a really aggressive sub bass, and we'll go through that last. So then we've got this wobble next, which sounds like this. And this doesn't have any post-processing on it, so I'll just show you the serum patch. So this is from my rollers pack, and it looks a bit like this. So it's a wobble bass on 1/8 trigger, and then it's just going through 5 different things. So the level here, the cutoff, and then the gain here on the EQ and the reverb here. So it looks like 4 things. I can't see the 5th. I must have turned the 5th one off. And then we've got basic shapes and BSOD square, -2, +1, and then a bit of FM going from B as well. This is why this level's turned off, because it's going in from here. And then the filter A and B are turned on. And we've got diode 2, compressor, EQ, and a filter reverb as well. Now you could add some post-processing to this sound as well. I'm sure you can make some crazy sounds with it, but I just wanted to keep it simple for the purposes of this tutorial. So this is just playing here, as you can see. Let's have a look. So we just selected 2 bars here, so it's playing here. So we've got the horn bass here going into it, and then the bass playing here, and then we've got the melody that comes in with the 3rd bass, which sounds like this. So let's look at this bass now. I'll turn off the post-processing so you can hear what it sounds like without it. So this is the preset from the DnB collection, Stab Assassin, and just sounds like this. So I had to do a lot of trial and error with this and get the LFO, the sound correct. And I ended up with this. So you can see all the elements here if you want to copy it. And then just asylum, distortion, and an EQ. And this EQ really helps boost those frequencies. Without it, it sounds like this. And then the post-processing, this Saturn helps a lot to get shape the sound. So it's just 45 demo here on these settings. Play it for you. Sounds a lot different, doesn't it? And then we've got an EQ cutting out the lows because of the sub bass underneath. Bit of an OTT as well, just making it sound a bit more aggressive. And then these 2 sounds are automated, so they're switched off at the moment and they come in when there's a bit of variation later on. And then we've got our kickstart too. So those are the 3 basses, and then this is the melody of the 3 bars here. So you can see this one repeats here, and then this one is the variation here. It goes up to an F there. So then with the sub bass underneath, it sounds like this. So this is what the sub pattern looks like of the 3 bars. And then to get this sub sounding fat, we've done a couple of things. So I'll show you it. So it's just the sustained sub from the rollers pack, sustained sub 1, and it's basically just bin 3 here for oscillator B. So we get this, then we get this. Got an EQ and a compressor on. And then to make it even fatter, we've added in this R-Bass mono plugin. So with it off, it sounds like that, and then with it on. And the reason I added this is just because when I was listening to the Case and Status track, their sub was like so aggressive. And this is the only way I could think to make it even more aggressive. And I think it does a pretty good job. Doesn't always work on every track, but it did work for this one. So then we get this sound. And then with the drums, I'll just play it with the drums so you can hear how good this kick drum sounds. There we go. So I'll just show you again, there's a bit of a transition here with the kick drum copying it, and this is where these plugins come in for this bass. So they're both turned on now, this Valhalla Room and EQ, and it gets this. And it goes back into the drop. And then we have the basis complete. If you've got any questions about that, feel free to drop below. Now, if you want help with your productions, you really like the way I'm producing, you like this project template and how I set everything up and how everything sounds, and you want help transforming your music, then there's a link down below to join my Music Production Academy. So now what I'll do is I'll go over the vocals, but I don't think I can play them just because of copyright issues. So I'll literally just analyze them for you. So the intro is 16 bars, and for the first 8 bars there's nothing. Then for the second 8 bars there's literally just ad-libs, so it's just like him like making noises, like laughing, and then maybe saying something to his mates or whatever, and it's like in the background kind of thing, but it like adds some depth to the track. And then his vocals start coming in the breakdown, and he's basically just like, and it's basically like saying like memorable words, not too many words so people don't forget, but just like building tension and saying something that might stick in people's heads so that when they listen to it, it catches on quickly. And then the main vocal hook comes in on the drop here. So the title of the track, Backbone, then he says Backbone just here, just before it drops, just so everyone knows what this track is all about. And then he just goes into like rapping and then continues to rap throughout it. So I know not all of us are going to be able to get Stormzy on a track. So what I recommend you do is either try and find your own vocals fit over a track that you're working on, or just go back to that A, B, A, C method I mentioned before and don't have like a massive gap for vocals in the drop. Unless of course you're working with an MC and they can do something like this, then go for it. So now let's look at the instruments. We've got a few instruments going on here, and the first is like a guitar, and then the second is a bunch of horns, and then the horns come back in at the end of this section of the drop. So let me show you the guitar first. So the one I've recreated sounds like this, and to make it I've just found a guitar sound on Nexus. So Nexus is like a Rompler synth, so unlike Serum it uses like already made sounds as instruments, and then you can just play those sounds pretty much. So I just found a guitar and it sounds like this. And this is the melody it's playing. It's literally just 2 bars of sound repeated. This 2 bars here, repeated. And then I just EQ'd out some of the lows. And then they have got this sound here that comes in, and I've literally found exactly the same sample on Splice. So you hear it here, guys. Even Chase and Status use Splice. The only reason I found this is because I was using it in a dubstep tune that I was working on. This. It's literally the same. And then this just plays throughout, and then it stops before the breakdown, and then we go into these horns here. Now to make this, I've layered 3 different Rompler horns. So you can see here, horn 1, horn 2, and horn 3. And it's literally just like 1 octave used, and then this higher octave used at the beginning of this bit here. And it's just following this pattern, and this is like a similar pattern to the one that the main bass does on the drop. So I really recommend using horns in your intro if you want to like create like tension in your track. I've been doing it quite a lot on some of my tracks, and it sounds really cool. And then that same from Splice comes back in here as well. Another thing I've done as well is I've EQ'd everything in. So everything has got a love filter on it and a delay on it as well. And this one's got a camel crusher to make it any more aggressive. Some have got reverb on as well. But all these love filters are like slowly bringing the drums in. So listen. I think this one is meant to be filtering in as well, so I don't know why it's not. Here it is. Like this. I think I must have changed it earlier when I did the last part of the drop. So let me just change that now. So there we go. Yeah, there we go. Just adds more tension because it's slowly getting louder. So yeah, you can hear the delay on that as well. Yeah, I just slightly automated the delay here because when it started playing loads of notes, it went crazy. But otherwise it was on for the whole of it. And then we just have it at the end of the section here playing on its own, which adds a nice bit of variation to the drop, so it doesn't just sound the same. So you can see they do a lot of things to like vary their track and automate things to keep the track moving as well. And they layer their horns and stuff loads to add more depth to the track. So now let's just quickly look at the effects. So we haven't got many effects on this track. It's literally just some down filters here, and an impact on this bit. And then they're just repeated on the build up as well. And then we've just got a riser as well here, going into these. And then we've got this Thunder sample from the Rollers pack, which adds so much depth to the track, it's unreal. So without it, it sounds like this, listen. And then with it, just makes it sound so much better. And then we've got this riser here, it sounds like this, which I thought was pretty cool riser. This is just made on Serum. So it's just a pack I found, and then I slightly altered it to get it towards my taste. So I changed the trigger to look like this. So if I play it for you, you can see it repeating like this. Trigger 1-4. And then LFO1 is just on the master here, global, and then on 49, and that's causing the really gradual increase in pitch, and it's on 32 bars at the bottom here, so you can see it is very gradual. So yeah, feel free to try and make your own riser on Serum, or find sample packs or just find a sample on Splice. There's quite a lot on Splice as well, but I couldn't get one to sound quite as good as Chasing Status's one without using Serum like I have done here. So I'm definitely going to reuse this in the future for my own tracks because I really like how that sounded. So that's all the elements complete. Let's listen to the track. Unfortunately, I can't play it with the vocal on. You ain't got no backbone. And that is the track complete. I had a lot of fun making this track, and it did take quite a while, so if you could leave a like, that'd be much appreciated. And if you want to get my sample packs and support the channel, then they're down below as well as my academy, if you want to completely transform your music. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.